All right, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. So, yeah, that's right. Japanese tanks. We've got two Japanese tanks to go over. We've got a little bit on ships, but let's talk about 1.63 real quick. While you look at these pictures on these new tanks, they look pretty cool, but you got to remember, Japanese tanks are going to be a little bit interesting. We're not really sure how they're going to play because historically they weren't the best. But the fact that we do have Japanese tanks is great. I still think we need French tanks and a French tree, Italian tanks and an Italian tree, and maybe even a multinational tree. But that's definitely an idea that's been circulating, and it would be a pretty cool idea. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, patch 1.63 just dropped. It was a pretty sizable patch. There's a lot of people have been data mining and finding that, maybe there was something else kind of hidden in patch 1.63. And a lot of us thought it might be like ship testing, but it turned out not to be so. So it seems maybe patch 1.65 is going to be the one where ships get dropped, but maybe we might also get Japanese tanks since they're being kind of previewed in the same vein. But right now there's a lot. I would say that like in all the years that I've played and covered War Thunder, this is kind of the busiest time that I've ever seen, like the most work being done on multiple projects at the same time. There wasn't really anything, like with regards to boats dropping, there hasn't been anything that big and unique since tanks were put in the game, ages ago now. But anyway, let's look at the Mitsubishi Type 95, the first Japanese tank we have. Now remember, this is from a dev blog post, so when you listen to the language they use about these tanks, you kind of get an idea of what you should expect it. Alright, so the Ha-Go. This vehicle, by the full name of Mitsubishi Type 95 Ha-Go, is a light Japanese tank originating from the mid-1930s. Initially, like all tanks from the 30s, it was intended to support infantry assaults and cavalry charges, and thus, in general, not designed to fight against other tanks. In war, however, reality dictates the conditions. Notable for this tank are its excellent maneuverability and speed, a rapid-firing cannon, and light armor. This makes it a classic light tank and a perfect match for the early ranks of War Thunder. Let's see how it will perform in combat. Basically saying, hey, this guy is pretty good at fighting infantry, but we don't have infantry in War Thunder, so you might get wrecked or you might wreck. We'll see what happens. That's kind of what I got from that. And then finally, we have the Mitsubishi Type 97, the Shinhoto Chiha. Yeah, my pronunciation is probably a bit iffy. This vehicle is a little more serious as an enemy than the Ha-Go. According to the Japanese classification, this vehicle is a medium tank, but going by the average weight of similar tanks from other countries, it's still a light one, aka Japanese tanks aren't very good at fighting other tanks. The Mitsubishi Type 97 was designed after the Japanese fought the Soviet army near Khalkhin Gol, where the low efficiency of the Japanese tankettes to date became increasingly apparent. To rectify this, engineers at Mitsubishi developed a new tank project with improved armor and a spacious turret, and a more protected. With improved armor protection and a more spacious turret, allowing for the installation of a dedicated anti-tank cannon. The first modification presented was called Shinhoto, which literally means new turret. It was designed to fit a 47mm cannon, which was superior in all aspects to its predecessor. The strength of the gun manlet now reached a respectable 40mm. Oh, this is so cute. For the tankers of War Thunder, the Shinhoto will still be mostly a light tank, thus the use of corresponding tactics is advised. Always be on the move, don't hesitate to take cover, and avoid taking hits whenever possible, aka play like a little bitch. We have only outlined these new vehicles to you in this format. Visitors to Igromir 2016 were lucky to see them also. Naturally, you will be able to learn more about these and upcoming vehicles in future devlogs where we will show them with more screenshots and videos. So as always, follow the news, stay connected, and subscribe to Baron Vaughn Games. I mean, that was in the Igromir, so, that was in the devlog posting. But now we've got two new boats, right? So there's a lot of stuff, I guess, that will be happening at Igromir. So We've got the closed beta of War Thunder Naval Forces is planned to start very soon. But even besides the major development of the Knights of the Sea, the recent feature-rich content Update 1.63 Desert Hunters and the approach of War Thunder's birthday, there's still plenty of room for more innovation in War Thunder. They're able to give a great surprise to the first visitors in Russia's biggest gaming exhibition, Igromir 2016, which will be held in Moscow. And potatoes will be given to everybody. And we are sure we'll be able to amaze you as well. You cannot attend, don't worry, that's what these are for, really. So we've got the Dark MGB, a fast patrol boat design originating in 1954. Why a design? Well, that's because the ship of the Dark class essentially were a modular platform to accommodate different types of weapons. Our version will be the artillery version, designated MGB for motor gunboat. However, it only takes a small refurbishment to transform it into an MTB, a motor torpedo boat. By now, they're sure you're already noticed its smaller size. Don't let that deceive you. One of its cannons is a powerful 40mm Bofors L60 autocannon. And if that's not enough, there's a QF 4.5-inch naval cannon just waiting to pack a nasty punch against any enemy. Still want more? The Dark Class MGB has a couple of Mark 7 depth charges as well. If after all these amazing features you are still not impressed, are you not entertained? Then how about the fact that this awkward-looking fat man can reach up to 40 knots, which is about 74 kilometers per hour, thanks to her aluminum body. Furthermore, she comes with black protective paint and runs on diesel. Go ahead, try to set it on fire. Basically, not get set on fire. One more line about that cannon, though. With a barrel featuring a staggering 113 millimeters in diameter, it fires high explosive shells at a rate that is out of this world. An impressive 10 shots per minute. Imagine what will happen to the enemy after just the first hit. So this sounds like the APHEBC of the sea. You know, the God rounds. That thing is a pretty crazy looking cannon, man. 113 millimeters in diameter. Very, very unique kind of gun. It should go pretty well against the relatively unarmored ships, boats that we're going to have. But I don't think it'll do very well against tanks. And maybe if it manages to hit a plane, I mean, 10 shots per minute, relatively decent rate of fire. There should be some people shooting down planes, I sure hope. So now we're going to move on to Armored Gunboat Project 186, the bane of enemy boats. Now this one looks pretty Russian to me. As a first note, that armor prefix in the boat's classification is fully justified. The armor on the bridge allows it to resist not only fire from machine guns of all calibers, but is still effective against hits of shells up to 20 millimeters. For a boat, that's pretty impressive. Look at that, they admitted it. For a boat, they admitted it. Guys shouldn't admitted that these are boats. For a boat, that's pretty impressive. Of course, it's important not only to stay afloat after a hit, but also to deal some damage yourself. Everyone is familiar with the turret of the T-3485, which looks great on any vehicle, except the one that you're trying to shoot at and the one that's shooting at you. Luckily, on the Project 186, we get two of them. And although they were mounted as a temporary solution on Project 186 before more specialized tools were installed, they were still capable of coping perfectly with any possible tasks. Except shooting at battleships. That's a task. It's a legit tank turret. No special changes. True to form and everything. Even its 85mm caliber. To protect the vessel against airstrikes, it was equipped with another 37mm cannon and 4 heavy DSHK machine guns on the rotating mounts. It's strong, armored, but sadly it's not very agile. Any commander of this mighty Soviet vessel is advised to train evasive maneuvers against enemy torpedoes. If you master that, you'll be able to destroy any enemy. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got more news on boats. We've got Japanese tanks. Japanese tanks are definitely a headline for me. I mean, it's something that we've been musing over since tanks were put in the game in the first place. And we have this 5-nation tree that has been, War Thunder since pretty much the very beginning. There's always been these musings on like, oh, what are we going to get next? Japanese, Italians, maybe a multi-nation. And all of those three, I think, would warrant being put in the game before Japanese tanks. Japanese tanks, there's a few very low tier ones that are going to be nice and amphibious, but they kind of the thunder. Bear with me here. The thunder of the Japanese tanks was kind of stolen once other nations got their amphibious tanks first, because the Japanese, their kingdom, other than like China, the Chinese theater, were more about like defending islands, amphibious landing, special naval landing forces, stuff like that, and big giant naval battles and air battles. Like the ground battles were definitely didn't need to feature big tanks, because how are you going to transport those across the ocean and land on an island that the Americans just took and you got to take back, and vice versa, or are you stealing from the Dutch or the British, but I'd say that they're interesting. I'm glad they're coming, but I feel like at this point we need some big exciting stuff. But these are definitely the type, like the two classics. I remember flying around in War Thunder and taking screenshots of tanks on the ground and then identifying them. And we saw the Type 95 and the Type 97 ages ago. Ages ago, guys. Like years ago, we found them. Like the little AI tanks in the game, right? Man, I remember looking at that. I was so excited for tanks. And tanks is obviously the area of War Thunder that I enjoy the most. I'm not really sure how ships are going to play. Ships/boats, for those of you who got triggered by it. But anyway, guys, this is some pretty cool news. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know, what you think about this stuff, what you think about boats in general, what you think about Japanese tanks, and what you think War Thunder may need, the most effort in, where's that area that if War Thunder could change one thing and it would change the overall experience for you, where that would be. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Baron. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.